What's going on, guys? More tech videos. I finally decided to take a break from Battlefield 3 and get up off the couch and actually do something. So here we obviously have in front of us a Smart Parts Nerve. Quick history behind the Nerve. If you guys are unfamiliar with the marker, they're not terribly common around nowadays. So the Smart Parts Nerve originally went into design at the same time as the SFT Shocker in 2002. The original intentions for this marker was to be the replacement for the impulses. Basically, their hopes with this gun is that the performance that you got out of a high-end impulse with all the nice fancy upgrades would be the stock performance of this marker, and actually a lot of nice things came stock on this marker, and very few accessories actually, aftermarket accessories actually exist for this gun. Out of the box, these are actually great performing markers. So basically, 2002 came around. They were being put into design, and they wanted to get this and the SFT Shocker out for 2003. And obviously, a couple snags were hit, and at that point, they just wanted to get the SFT Shocker out, which they were able to do. They were able to get an SFT Shocker prototype out to World Cup in 03, and they were able to get the Shocker out, the line out earlier, and then after that they went back to finish designing the Nerve. So at that point, long story short, during the whole design process, they hit a couple more snags, and even especially when they finished finally getting the first batch of 50 Nerves ready, they sent them out to anodizing. They hit snags at anodizing. So the first batch of those 50 Nerves didn't actually go out for sale until August of 2004. So 2005 was credited as the release date of the Nerve. It actually, this Smart Parts Nerve released at the same time as the Ion, which a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people think the Nerve is older. It's not. It came out at the very same time as the Ion. And the Nerve was actually discontinued barely a year later due to sales not being up to where they wanted. You know, at that point, the Ion was going for 300. SFT Shockers, I think, at that point were finally down to like $500 or $600. The Nerve, when it first came out, August 2004, was going for $850. And the one private label Nerve that existed at the time, the Nasty Nerve, was retailing for $1,000. So, you know, you got $600 Shockers and $300 Ions. An $800 stack tube poppet wasn't hitting it too big with Smart Parts, especially at that point, since you have to think at that point the Ego had just come out by the time these were finally rolling. I mean, really, do you remember ever seeing ads in any of the magazines for Smart Parts stuff? You always see the world champion. Here's our Shockers. Here's the Ion, the revolutionary Ion ads. I remember all those. I don't remember seeing a single ad for a Nerve. So just a combo of bad timing, putting it up on the shelf, and bad luck just kind of doomed the Nerve, which is really a shame because these are great guns. Right out of the box, they came. It did have, this is a CP rail, but it did have that Smart Parts 15-degree rail, but it came with this on-off. This is the vertical Max-Flo. It's the same as the SFT Shocker vertical Max-Flo. It came with an inline LPR, which everybody knows Shockers don't have LPRs. There is two aftermarket accessories for LPRs, but they don't come with them. The Nerve came with an LPR. It came with stock with the Q-lock, which the Shocker did not, and just a couple other basic functions. The quick strip bolt system. And these were amazing shooting guns. Like I said, there were very few upgrades available for this gun, partly due to the fact that it wasn't out for too long, but also due to the fact that there wasn't much you could really upgrade. One of the big ones was new designs that they made the Silk Shot Ram, and then you can change out the triggers because this frame will fit on an SFT Shocker and NXT Shocker, and so will this vertical ASA and this reg. So these are all interchangeable. And so that that was a mix and match kind of deal. The boards, the Noids are the same. The manifold is not, but the Noid itself and the board are the same. But other than that, there's just a quick brief history on the nerve. This particular nerve is known as a half nasty. Basically, when they were at the point of discontinuing, they had some PB Extremes, which was the makers of the nasty nerves, had run out of nasty bodies, and they didn't want to do it anymore, and they cut the deal with Smart Parts. So Smart Parts had a bunch of machined parts for the nasty nerves minus the bodies. So you had these custom milled LPRs, the custom milled back cap, the trigger, which can't really see there, but there's a small X right in the middle there, and obviously the vertical reg right here is nasty milled. And they put them on stock bodies right at the end of production, and then they did a run of anodizing colors that nerves originally didn't have. They did pink, they did this olive color, they did orange, and a couple other ones that you couldn't get regular nerves in, and they were just kind of sold off. I don't think they were actually charged anything extra. They were just sold off and became known as half nasties. So we're gonna do quick maintenance on this thing. It's really simple, and big things are the RAM assembly, LPR, the bolt system. The longest process is going to be the RAM assembly, and other than that, this should be a nice, quick, easy video. So let's get going. Alright, first thing we're going to do is go ahead and take out this bolt system. This is a quick strip bolt system, so you're just going to turn this to clockwise. It'll turn about 30 or 40 degrees, and just pull this right out. Now the only thing with this that might cause you maybe 10 seconds of trouble, if I can get this back in, there it goes. If the bolt is in the forward position, which means it's connected to the RAM, so the RAM and the hammer will be in the forward position. Get it down in the forward position there. There it is. And go ahead and take this back cap off. The bolt's not going to be there. See, it's still in the back, connected to the RAM. Hammer. So when you go to take the bolt out, make sure the bolt is in all the way back. If it's not all the way back, it'll either get stuck and the back cap won't come on at all, or you get a back cap with no bolt. So there it is, quick strip bolt. It's a Delrin bolt. All you're going to do is rotate that. Comes right out. So you're just going to want to make sure you wipe that off. Any grease, no grease should ever be on these bolts. Delrin bolts are self-lubricating. So this one is it's old, it's beat up, so it's kind of a little discolored, but it's clean. So go ahead and put that aside. You don't need to do anything with this back cap. Maybe if there's debris around the back there inside the end cap, clean that out, but that's about it. Alright, so next we're going to do the LPR, and then we'll get to the RAM assembly. So to get to the LPR, first we're going to go ahead and take off this cap on the front. Now generally it has two retaining screws. There's one there and there's one completely on the other side. This one actually does not. When I've had this gun for a while. I picked it up used. It was kind of a little beat up and needed some TLC, but I took care of it. So it doesn't affect the performance if those screws aren't there. It's just a little less stable. It's not like it's going to get shot and pop off or anything like that. But it's, it's nice to have. So we'll go ahead and take that cap off and take the screw off. Now to get the LPR assembly out, you're going to use a 3/8 Allen wrench. Now if you're doing this with a stock nerve, or some of the nerves came with this LPR extender cap. Oh, sorry. Some of the nerves came with this LPR extender cap. Some didn't. It might just be this end piece, pretty much right into the body. So you'd have this cap pretty much sitting right here. Either way, it's the same thing. This is just an extension and works the exact same way. So you're going to take out. Oops. Go ahead and widen that. There we go. You can go ahead and take that 3/8 Allen wrench and get it in. Just give it a good twist and get that whole LPR assembly out. Now sometimes this back piece right here, it's called the extender housing. It might stay in the body. If it does, all you're going to need to do is unscrew that as well. It's no big deal. So we'll go ahead and put the body back over here for a second. Alright, so basic components we need to get off first. First we need to get off this extender cap right here, and to do that, grab an O-ring pick. You can see there's an O-ring kind of sitting down right there inside the cap. So you're just going to go ahead and take your O-ring pick and work that O-ring out. And there's that. And then after that, this extender cap should just slide right off. Put that over there. Okay. So now you've got two separate pieces. You get the LPR body right here, which is going to be the anodized, the same color as whatever the gun is. And then you're going to have the, if you have an extended version, this is called the extender housing. If not, you won't have this. And you'll just have the LPR body with the poppet and all that stuff. Excuse me. So we are going to get this extender housing off by taking a wrench. And this is actually is fitted for a wrench. I'm not sure exactly of the size. I'm thinking it might be a 5/8 around there. If you have wrenches around like that. If not, I'm just using an adjustable crescent wrench and the 3/8 wrench back in the same place that we used to unscrew the body. And takes some force, but there it goes. So go ahead and unscrew the extender housing. And the poppet spring is going to stay down there. It's got a little retention clip in the extender housing. It's no big deal. You really don't need to do anything to the extender housing, so we'll go ahead and put that aside. So now you get the LPR body, and if you go ahead and just take the end of a tool, just push from the front, and here is everything. The poppet, and this little ring that's kind of floating around is called the base seat. There's an O-ring on it. It's called the base seat O-ring. And this brass piece up at the top is the piston, and on it is the piston O-ring. Now, the only way to get this base seat off is to take the piston off, and you notice that it has the poppet has an Allen key hole in the bottom, and the piston has an Allen key hole in the top. And obviously, you know, common sense, put 2 Allen keys in there and screw it either way. I'm not going to do that, however, because this piston is actually Loctited to the threaded part of the top of the poppet right there. And if I were to take it off, I'd have to put some Loctite on it, and then you can't use your marker for a period of 24 hours. You're going to want to let that sit and cure. So we're not going to do that, but what we are going to do is just clean this off real quick. Any extra grease, anything like that. Oh. Alrighty. Cool. Alright, so really that's about it. Make sure this LPR housing is nice and clean, and that's really it for the LPR. So we're going to reassemble this real quick, but we're not going to put it back on the gun. But also to do that, we're going to use some grease. I'm just using shocker lube. You're going to take just a tad bit and put it on that piston O-ring right there. And put the piston assembly back up into the LPR body. Attach that to the extender housing if you have one. If not, you are already done. Come on. There you go. Even though you're only doing this hand tight, if you do go to take it off again, you're going to need the wrench again. That's just how it is. And if you do have an extender, just go ahead and slide that extender cap back down, and you're going to want to take that O-ring. Now when you screw this back into the gun, naturally the O-ring will settle into that little divot. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to settle it in there before, just so I don't pinch the O-ring and break a seal. Just kind of a safe check here. Awesome. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put that aside. And now we're going to do the RAM assembly. Now, a tad bit more disassembly involved with this than the RAM assembly. So we're going